What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. FantasyTeamAdvisors.com, bringing home the bacon, NBA DFS video. It is Monday. It is finally Monday, I guess. It is November 18th. We are breaking down the main slate. If you've never been here before, if there's at least 5 games on the slate, we give you 3 top, 3 mid, and 3 value picks at each position. We give you the projections. These are early projections. There are a ton of players that are questionable or game time decision, so the value will open up throughout the day. So I will tell you, go to FantasyTeamAdvisors.com under the NBA tab for projection simulations about 2 hours before tip-off on normal slates. So we're going to give you the early projections, and these are basically floor projections. If you're also new to the channel, we have a giveaway or 2 giveaways every single day. So how to win, like the video, be a subscriber, and leave a comment for the comment picker to pick you up. Preferably a positive comment, but any comment works. If we get at least 50 likes on this video, you have a chance at a free week of FTA+. 100 likes, a free month. 150 likes, a free year. 200 or more likes, a chance at a lifetime pass. Second way to win. There will be a keyword somewhere in this video. Listen for the keyword and type that in there and have a chance at a free week. So, yesterday's video did not get 50 likes, but we are going to roll the comments for the keyword. So we'll see what it is. And the keyword yesterday was coffee. So, B. Fowler doing NBA 2. You're on your way to GOAT status. Thanks. Thank you for, you've been around for a while. I know that. But did not have the keyword. So we will re-roll it here and we will see. So yes, Jokic child was born. So I made a comment yesterday saying I didn't know why he was out. Maybe someone in his family died, and I guess that was a huge deal. But yeah, I didn't realize he had a child born, so that's why he was out for a couple of games. So not a ton of people put the to be honest, not a ton of people. There you go, Coffee, Sandra Watkins. Congratulations, Coffee and FTA. Great way to start and continue today. Yes, it is. So good job, everybody else. If you come back tomorrow, you have a chance to win. If you did not check out our NFL content, Week 11, we killed it. We did some betting. If you didn't check out the breakdown for Sunday Night Football, I used the information that we talked about in that video, looking at all of the statistics from our matchup tool to the matchup there. Cashed this. It looked iffy early because McConkey left hurt and went to the medical tent. It looked like maybe a broken collarbone or something in the first quarter. Came back and we cashed this. Jamar Chase was the last one to cash here. So this was last night. Hopefully you guys had success. If you did, let me know. So if you are new to the channel, we're going to build a DraftKings lineup. We're going to build a Fanduel lineup, and we are going to build a Yahoo lineup for you. I do want to give a shout out. I love seeing this. This is the second day in a row that you guys have watched our videos and checked everything out and won. So I got tagged in this yesterday. Shout out to Advisors_team. That's us on Twitter. Won my first 1,000 DFS today on DraftKings following his lineup and advice. Won another 100 playing with their charts. So if you have not checked it out, that is 2 times in a row that we've built and helped you guys out. So if you guys do use our information, go to Twitter or X, tag us, tweet at us, and follow us. That would be awesome. I love seeing that. We also have a Discord down below if you want to check that out. So looking at today's games, we are going to use our sponsor, Outlier.bet. The link to sign up is down below. We have 8 games on the main slate for FanDuel. We have 6 games on the main slate for DraftKings. So looking at the Bulls, the Pistons, we got a 3.5 games spread here, which Detroit is favored. So kind of look at this. I love Cade Cunningham today. We've got Indiana being a 4.5 point favorite against Toronto. Toronto's 2-12, but it's only 4.5 points. We love to take Toronto players, or we love to take players against Indiana with the pace of play and the high over under. I love that here. Got the Knicks as a 13.5 point favorite. Watch out for the, be careful for the blowout potential there. Miami versus Philly. Miami being a 2.5 point favorite. Close game. I like that matchup. Houston versus Milwaukee. Milwaukee being a 3.5 point favorite, which is wild because they're 4-9 compared to Houston 10-4, but that's what we've got right now. 219.5. Orlando Phoenix. Orlando being 1.5 point favorite. Atlanta Sacramento. Sacktown being a 4.5 point favorite. And then Golden State versus the Clippers. Golden State being a 2.5 point favorite. So overall, the games are projected to be close, which is exactly what we want to see. So we are going to go over 3 top, 3 mid, and 3 value picks at each position. And these are early projections. Now, these can and will change throughout the day. So looking at point guard, you got Devin Booker right around 43 fantasy points. He's got the 24th DVP overall against point guard, so I love this matchup for him. We got Cade Cunningham, 43 fantasy points in a game where Detroit should be winning. 30th DVP, so he's got the best matchup. It is a back-to-back for them, but he's been killing it for our lineups. I've got him at 43 to 45 as well. And then De'Aaron Fox against Atlanta, 43 fantasy points as well, with a 28th DVP there. Going down the list a little bit at the early projections, mid-tier, we've got Tyrese Halliburton at 38 fantasy points, 20th DVP. Tyler Hero at 37 fantasy points, 9th DVP. And Jordan Poole at 33 to 35 against New York with the 25th DVP spot there. Then looking at some value here. Depending on where we're at, we've got Davion Mitchell against Indy, which I love. And this is one of the plays that I wanted to talk about. Cheap option for Toronto. 25 fantasy point range right there, 22nd DVP. We got Chris Dunn at 20 fantasy points with 18th DVP, and then Kyle Lowry against his former team in Miami, 19 to 22 range with 17th DVP there. So we move to the shooting guard position. We got Paul George at 38 fantasy points, 2nd DVP, so not the best DVP for him. Norman Powell, 33 to 35 range, going against Golden State, 13th DVP. Then we've got Michael Bridges at 31 fantasy points, 19th DVP in that spot. Moving to the mid-tier picks here. One that I wanted to look at, Malcolm Brogdon. Have not talked about him all year, and that's because he's only played one game. Now, the problem is he played 22 minutes yesterday for Sunday and only got 3 fantasy points. So it just depends if he's going to I don't know if he's going to be playing. That's one that is a value option. We'll just have to kind of see if he's going to be playing in this game. But mid-tier here, we got Josh Giddey going up against Detroit, 11th DVP, so not the best, but 28 to 32 range. You've got Kevin Huerter against Atlanta, 26th DVP, got him at 27 to 32 fantasy point range. And then Kelly Oubre Jr. against Miami, 27 to 30 fantasy points, got him at 16th DVP. And then trying to find some value here for shooting guard will really depend on what opens up. But we got Malik Beasley right around 22 to 25 fantasy points, 11th DVP. Corey Kispert right around 22 to 24 fantasy points, 4th DVP. And then Kentavious Caldwell-Pope against Phoenix, 18 to 22 fantasy point range, 10th DVP. So more like a bench minute type thing. We'll see how much value he shows up with. Moving to the small forward today. We got Jalen Johnson, 43 to 45 fantasy points, 12th DVP. Franz Wagner, 13th DVP, 42 to 45 fantasy points. And then RJ Barrett, 39 to 42 fantasy point range. RJ Barrett with 15th DVP, so right in the middle for small forward. Mid-tier here for this position. We got Tobias Harris against Chicago, 30 fantasy points, 28th DVP. Grady Dick against Indy. I love a Toronto-type mini stack here tonight. Got him at 29 to 32 fantasy points. And then Bilal Coulibaly up against New York, 28 to 32 fantasy point range, 11th DVP. And then trying to find some value here in this matchup, we got Keyshawn George against the Knicks, 24 to 28 fantasy points, 11th DVP. Jaime Jaquez Jr. questionable right now, going up against Philly. If he's in there, 23 to 25 range, has 24th DVP there. And then Haywood Highsmith going up against Philly, 24th DVP, looking right about 20 to 22 fantasy points. So now we move to power forward. Giannis is questionable. He's going to wear that questionable tag every single day, but he's probable. Game log wise, played Saturday, put up 66. Obviously against Detroit on 3 days prior to that, he put up 97.5. We're never going to project 97.5. But it happens. That's when it took like 500 to take down a Jeep. It's wild, the scores lately. But we got Giannis here at 57 fantasy points. Third DVP, but it's Giannis. He's matchup proof. We got Sabonis, who is questionable right now, 45 to 48 fantasy points, third DVP. And then we've got Jimmy Butler, who's questionable, 35 to 38 fantasy points, 24th DVP against Philly. Mid-tier picks here. We've got Bobby Portis against Houston, 30 fantasy points, third DVP. Draymond Green at 29 to 32, first DVP. And then Alex Sarr, 28 to 32, 14th DVP against the Knicks, which is right in the middle. Then some value that should open up, we are looking at Onyeka Okongwu up against Sacktown, 24 fantasy points, 14th DVP. Isaiah Stewart against Chicago, 22 to 25 fantasy points, 20th DVP. And then Mo Wagner against Phoenix, 21 to 23 fantasy point range, 21st DVP out of him. Then we got to get to the center position, guys. We are here. We got Embiid at the top. We got him right around 48 to 52. Got 22nd DVP. He's questionable. I think it's probable, though. No, questionable. Oh, so instead of being hurt, he's ill. So it's not a knee injury, but it could be like the flu or something, depending on what the sickness is. He should be in there. He's only played 2 games, though. Has not hit value in those games, so watch out. Obviously we got to wait. So at his price of $10,600, I might not pay up for him. Yeah. So you got Karl Anthony Towns. We've got him against Washington, which is a great matchup. 28th DVP for him, right around 42 to 45. I think I'd rather pay for Towns than up for Embiid anyway. And then we got Bam Adebayo at 42 fantasy points, right in the middle there, 15th DVP. And normally I don't like to pay down at center too much. We did yesterday with Robert Williams, and it did work out for us. Mid-tier here, Nikola Vucevic at 38 fantasy points at 16th DVP. Zubac, 35 fantasy points, 7th DVP. And Miles Turner against Toronto, 33 to 35 fantasy points. We're looking at 29th out of 30th DVP for Miles Turner. And then we got to find some value. Depending on where we're at, Clint Capella, 24 to 28 fantasy points, 14th DVP. Goga against Phoenix, 24 fantasy points, 21st DVP. So we used Goga last time, and it worked out. Or against Indy. That was when we stacked the Orlando guys against Indy, and that's kind of why I love to stack players against Indy. So we used him 2 games ago, 5,400, put up 34.5 fantasy points in 28 minutes. Love this matchup for him. Splits-wise, he has not faced Phoenix this year, but he is a cheap option at 6,400. A cheaper option at 6,400. And then trying to find some value here at center tonight. Trace Jackson Davis, 19 to 22 fantasy points, 27 DVP. You've got Huck Porty. I don't really know how you say his name for the Knicks, and I don't know if he'll play. It'll just depend. Yeah, he's only had 1 good game against Brooklyn. Played 30 minutes in that game, though, and I think that was because Cat was out. So that's obviously he'd be a cheap option if other people are out. I don't know if he'll be playing. You got Kevin Love at 4,300, 29th DVP, about 17 to 20 fantasy points. And then Paul Reed, 15 fantasy points, about 20th DVP. So I probably am not paying down too much at center today. And there you have it. Those are some of the lineups or projections that we've got out there. If you have any questions, definitely let us know. If we haven't talked about some of them, let us know that down below as well. So we're going to make an initial lineup. This is not necessarily the final lineup. We are waiting on news for other people too, but this will be an initial lineup with the projections out there. So Malcolm Brogdon, if he can get the minutes, and he obviously the fantasy points are the big thing that we're kind of waiting on. He's only played 1 game and he got 3 fantasy points. Tariq Eason's another value option there. Patrick Williams is one that we are looking at for Chicago against Detroit, another cheap option. You can see Zach LaVine's the highest price of one we paid up for until now. And then we go into the guard, Dosunmu. We then go into Dylan Brooks, will be a cheaper option. And then Karl Anthony Towns, if he plays, which I believe he'll be playing. He's got the best DVP matchup there, 9th. Who did I miss? What did I do wrong? Oh, I never hit the plus on Dylan Brooks. Okay, so that's one lineup, an initial lineup for DraftKings. It can and will change throughout the day once value opens up, but I wanted to show you guys what we have there for that anyway. So now we are looking at FanDuel. Pricing's a little bit different. It's a little bit steeper on some of the players, like Giannis at 12,000, Embiid at 10,600 scares me a little bit. But like I said, I wanted to get in here, and I think I want to get a little bit of Toronto players in here because I like the matchup for them. So let's do just that right now. Let's look at some of the Toronto players. So looking at a stack that I like, I'm going to be going with Davion Mitchell, cheaper option there. I'm going to be going with Jacob Poeltl. I like this matchup for him. Agbaji, if he gets in there, I like him as well. And then RJ Barrett. So that is my core. And this is not necessarily just like my core plays, but these are what I'm looking at here. So I'm looking at this, and I want to get Toronto players against Indy. I think that's how we go. So now we have to build around and find some value. So Buddy Hield, depending on what he's going to do for Golden State, the minutes have been there the past few games. The fantasy points are up and down at 5,300. But again, if you want to get a Toronto stack in here, we got to find some value. Malcolm Brogdon, still a little bit iffy on him. We'll wait for some news to see if anything comes out. But I think we can build a pretty good core around them. So 2 power forwards, depending on what we're looking, or small forward. Paul George was at the top when we were doing our projections there, if you listened. Barrett, you could have him at small forward, but I want to put him at power forward, and that allows us 9,000 for a power forward. So basically, Jalen Johnson and down. Franz Wagner against Phoenix you could look at. You could look at Josh Hart. You could look at Sycam. On the flip side of that, against Toronto, Anunoby, Kyle Kuzma. But I'm going to go Jalen Johnson against Sacramento. I like this matchup here. So we got Davion Mitchell all the way down to Jacob Poeltl. We're going to enter that lineup there. And then we're going to move to Yahoo. Now, again, we don't play Yahoo a ton, but I think I want to get Toronto, some Toronto players here. So I'm going to get RJ Barrett. I'm going to get Jacob Poeltl. I'm going to go down. I'm going to go Agbaji at 12, which I like. And then I want Davion Mitchell. Did I miss him? Am I not seeing him? Davion Mitchell at 10. So now that we have that, we're averaging, for 4 players, we're averaging $29. So we're looking at shooting guard. And let's look at all the games. Okay. So looking at shooting guard, you could go different directions. Jordan Poole makes a lot of sense. He makes right there at 29, which I like. So now we move to the guard, which opens up more value there. We have 9,100 left. 30 is the average if we're looking at that. I love Cade Cunningham at 37. Now power forward at $27 average, give or take. We can find that. So we've got Isaiah Stewart could be a cheaper option, which allows our utility to bump up to wherever we want to go. You could look at Jabari Smith Jr. against Milwaukee. And what you could do is you can go to FantasyTeamAdvisors, go to NBA, and go to like fantasy points allowed by position if you want to build a lineup out like that. So looking at 27, and it depends on where you want to go with this. But Jalen Johnson at 35, I think I'll take. And now we're at a utility spot. We've got $19 left. Let's see where we can be here. So we got Mo Wagner against Phoenix. You've got Corey Kispert is a cheap option against New York, which I don't mind him. Cole Anthony, Royce O'Neal. I mean, you could go different directions here. Trace Jackson Davis against the Clippers. If we look at his game logs, 23, 25.8, 4.4. It's been up and down for him. If we go with Corey Kispert, you go game logs here, 15, 27, 24, 20, up and down as well. Against New York, he has not faced them this year. Averaging 30 minutes, though. So I don't mind Corey Kispert. So this is one lineup. This is an initial lineup. Again, A lot of these things can change. A lot of this news can come through and change. So, before we go, the keyword of the day is water. Water is the key word and key to life. So there you have it. FantasyTeamAdvisors.com. We built Fanduel lineup. We built a DraftKings lineup. We built a Yahoo lineup. We went through projections. We showed our sponsor in Outlier.bet. We showed it all. If you got any questions, get those down below. If you want to check out our free Discord, get down below in there as well. Good luck today. And as always, let's bring home some bacon. Peace.